Damn it. Yeah, why not? Let's post that. What's going on? Jan, I had to use Restream. I can't figure out how to get StreamYard to work. How to stream it from OBS. I don't really understand it. Also, you guys, for those of you using the site, I just pushed an update that should fix the issue with FanDuel sometimes having 5 players. Had to do with how it was what's the term? Accumulating players in the lineup when it added to the defense. That should be fixed now, and hopefully it also should be a little faster. We'll see. Let's do DraftKings. Go ahead, do 7. Set this stuff up. So I have projections posted. I'll probably do one more projections update today. Oh, it's straight from browser? Oh, okay. But I kind of like OBS. I like having a little more control. Maybe StreamYard does that too. I don't know. Let's see. Today, I don't really care about projection. So we're going to go ahead and just set ROI, ownership. Do it this way. So what I'm doing here is just setting my weights for today. This is a 2-game slate. I really care about getting unique, kind of like Showdown in that way. So I'm going to up the weight on ownership, but still far and away, lineup ROI is going to be what we're looking at here. As far as like the overall thoughts in the game, I really don't have much of an opinion. We have, and actually, let me start with DraftKings. For this DraftKings has a way more fun contest to play in this big lotto. I mean, I could definitely see the case for Buffalo just beating the crap out of Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville is one of the most undisciplined teams in the league. We've seen how they just find ways to lose games. You ever remember how Doug Peterson and Nick Foles beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl? Because every time I watch the Jags, I think about that and how it's just a modern miracle when you think about it. The Philly special. So I definitely would lean like Bills onslaughts here, kind of Bills stacks. But the problem with stacking Buffalo is you get Josh Allen running the ball a lot, and he takes away a lot of the production from other players. Or you get like the weird James Cook outlier where he ends up being the only optimal player. I mean, there's definitely a case for that happening again here. For Washington Cincy, I mean, it's a great matchup for Burrow and Chase. I know the Chase ownership is unbelievable tonight on both sides. 72% for a $7,500 receiver on DraftKings is crazy. And I know I completely understand Washington, his secondary is limited talent wise. You know, that's a nice way of putting it. But there's also the case to be made that everybody's saying that's about Washington's secondary because they just watched Malik Neighbors tear them up. Well, Malik Neighbors just did the same thing against Cleveland yesterday. So are we like completely sure that Washington's defense is as bad against alpha receivers as we seem to think? Yeah, it's just something to think about there. I don't really have an opinion though about that game at all. I'm just gonna kind of let the Sims tell me what to play. So I'm also gonna just turn down the projection minimum all the way. Small slate. Let's go ahead and do 7 generations. We'll keep the top 8% of lineups between generations. And then max percent off optimal at 30% is probably fine. I'm going to want to see what the actual optimal score is here before kind of making a determination. Percentage of fields eating stacks. I don't have any data to say what to do on a 2-game slate with percentage of field using stacks. I think it's fine just to leave it as is at 60% of the field. I'm sure it'll end up being more just naturally because like how do you build a lineup here without stacking? I mean, naked Daniels and naked Josh Allen you could do for sure, but I just feel like no matter what, you're gonna naturally the lineup builder, that lineup generator is gonna naturally fall into using stacks anyway. Percentage of field using double stacks, kind of the same thing here. I'll just leave it 25% seems fine. We have our standard deviations, so we don't really need to worry about the variance ones. And then number of players allowed versus defense. For large slates, I pretty much always leave this at 0. For a 2-game slate, I'm going to just turn this all the way up because you can get some weird outcomes here. Washington defense, I'm sure, is super cheap. 2,500 for the Washington defense. And there's absolutely a way where Burrow stacks win with the Washington defense attached to it. Burrow throws a pick 6. There's a return, a fumble recovery, whatever. So I'm just going to turn that all the way up to 4. And I'm also going to go into our player correlations. And I'm going to just... I don't know why I typed in Antonio Gibson. That's last year. And I'm going to go to Eckler and Brian Robinson. And I'm going to just give them a slight negative correlation here. 0.25 is probably fine. Maybe even lighter than that, actually. 0.25. So all this is doing is in our sims, basically the way Eckler gets here is receiving. Brian Robinson gets there if Washington is somehow in the lead or in the game and they run the ball a lot. So I feel fine slapping a negative correlation there. But let's go ahead and run this thing. This might take a little bit to go. Check in on the... Oh, wait. Let me... So, yeah, let me like and retweet my tweet. While we're waiting here, don't forget to drop a like on the YouTube channel. Be really appreciated. Okay. So this is generating. It might take a bit. We'll see. Now, what did we set the let me check. I forget what we set the minimum salary to. I feel like I might have messed that up. Because we want to be able... Yeah, so I set it to 47,000, right? We just want to get... I feel like on this slate, pricing is so soft at the top. That's why you're getting 72% chase. It's so easy to throw them in a lineup that... Yeah, I mean, like a lot of these weird salary lineups, right? 46,000, 45,000 are probably going to be viable. Let's see if I have a completed... from earlier... I feel like I might have just had a single field run that I did a second ago when I was testing to make sure the stuff wasn't going to break. Yeah, here's one I ran. So this is not using our custom settings. This is kind of getting an overview for... Where's my... Okay, we got... So 48,000 unique lineups in the... This is the DraftKings main we're doing. 48,000 unique lineups. Seems about right. So this run earlier, we're just getting, you know, Jamar Chase is just impossible not to play, I feel like. It's going to be really hard to not click him. For anybody who's building a lineup tonight and is just throwing stuff together, how do you not just click Jamar Chase? You see all the other receivers. The T. Higgins news, I don't know what to do with T. Higgins. Is he on a snap count? I haven't actually seen what the deal is with him. I'm assuming he would be limited in some fashion. I don't think they just run him right back out there, will they? Let's take a look and see if there's any news about that. But I mean, T. Higgins. The Bengals just in general are so frustrating sometimes because, you know it's going to be, back when they had Tyler Boyd, you knew it was going to be Chase, at least one of Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, and it's just sometimes it's hard to be right about which one's which. And so you see 72% Jamar Chase ownership, and you get T. Higgins in the exact same matchup at half that for cheaper. And I'm really curious to see how many of these Bengals stacks are going to have Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. A little low for Higgins, but nothing crazy. Yeah, I just feel like the range of outcomes for him tonight is going to be crazy. Because I haven't seen any news. I haven't seen any news if he's going to be limited at all or if he's just back. They've held him out the first 2 weeks, so maybe he's just going to be full go. He felt ready to go last week. Was advised by the hamstrings to give it one more week. Let's see, how's our progress doing? So we're still running the first sim. This week, I'm going to go back in. We had to make some changes to ensure the accuracy when we're doing these large field sims. And so there's a little more looping required to do it. And so the sims are going a little slower this year. I'm going to go back in this week on Tuesday and Wednesday and dive back in and see if I can kind of get the speed back on some of these. We only got one field in for the 88,000. No. We can also just go and sim a... this will just give us a decent idea for one field of let me grab a contest. It'll give us a good idea of kind of ownership and what lineup's gonna be built just in a single field, but we can also sim a smaller contest here and get a better feel for everything. So let's do the chain mover, the 20K to first $10. Let's just move this down to 5 generations. This will be like a smaller field. So where are we at? Here's our milli we just ran with our updated configs. Oh, I got scared. I just pushed a change out that changed the number of players from on FanDuel to 4 players. Got scared because I just saw all these Bengals. So immediately, the very best lineup is, I don't even know who this guy is, Eric Ollie Jr. I've never even heard. I play college football DFS. I've never heard of this guy. From Iowa. Oh, it's TEU. Torn ACL in 2023, so that's why I've never heard of him. Okay. Well, immediately what you can see is we're getting the chalk Bengal stack, Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Zach Moss, just a huge amount of Zach Moss. Geez, 86%. So you get the three running back build, and then just punt it TE and hope you're right with like Eric All Jr. And this is sort of the problem when you're running one field is these one-off like 0.1% owned or 0% owned plays pop up because they sim well just in this one run, right? For whatever reason, the randomness just worked out in their favor. And so when you have multiple fields, you'd often see these ROIs, like this 500 ROI is probably going to be dipped. And also, I bet our ownership weight is playing in here because I can see 2 lineups down here with 1200 ROI, 1000 expected ROI, and this lineup is bubbling to the top because its projection is higher, and it still has a good ROI. So actually, this is kind of a signal to me that we might want to adjust our weights a little bit. But we'll see when this when the $10 finishes simming how that looks. But yeah, these are some pretty gross lineups, I gotta say. Here's Burrow, Moss. So this would be a Cincy Washington game stack. You're basically hoping Washington gets a lead and Robinson runs the ball. It's not bad with just the Moss. I mean, with the Cook and the Bills. But man, it's hard not to play. I really want to play Brian Thomas Jr. I feel like he's a fun guy to click on tonight. He's been awesome. That LSU receiver room last year. I mean, how many good receivers are coming in the league now? You have Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU last year. Just ridiculous. At 4,900, he's cheaper than Christian Kirk still. I mean, I don't know. I know I have him projected low for ownership than Kirk, but how are people, like, just casual players not just clicking on Brian Thomas if they're putting a Jags receiver in their lineup over Christian Kirk? Like, what's fun about playing Christian Kirk? All right, so our here's our smaller field that we just did with more fields. Hopefully we don't see these Eric All Jr. Okay, here we go. So we have Gesicki. These lineups look a little better to me. Stuff I would play. Where's my salary at? Oh, gotta grab the bar. Come on, baby. There we go. I guess a mental note for later. It might be nice if we could customize the order of these. I don't know if it's possible with the way we're outputting the table results, but it would be nice. The salary is going to be really important today. Like, I think today, I don't think there's a single lineup I would play that fills up the entire salary cap. So, like, these $50,000 lineups, I probably would immediately just filter them out. So let's just do that. Just filter these. Yeah, so we filtered out the $50,000 lineups. Hopefully not literally the $50,000 lineups, but the ones that take up $50,000 salary. Oh, that's weird. Oh, less than and equal to. Well, then we'll just change this to 49999. Shift scroll. What? Ah, no, I'm on Windows. I didn't know about that. There you go, pro tip from Chan. Shift scroll. Way easier. Wait, now it didn't work. Wow. This is who's designing these sim stuff for you guys, by the way. I couldn't even scroll correctly. So we got Burrow. Where am I looking here? Oh, I filtered out. So yeah, once again, this Cincinnati Washington game stack popping up to the top. I mean, it makes sense to me. And you get the Cook and Bills, and basically I mean, this would be the Bills 20-6 win, Cook touchdown. No doubt, this one is super logical. Like, it's so easy to see how this one gets here. What is so another thing I wanted to check. So our top projection is 128.04 in our build. So 30% off of that would be like 39 fantasy points. So 80s. I mean, that's probably okay. But I kind of wonder if we resimmed it and tightened that up a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. Wow. We kept 8% and we had 5 generations. Let's just churn our salary down to, and then let's churn up our, I feel like if we went back and studied, we pulled some of these contest results from this year and we studied what we have to the optimal and see what everybody else is entering. I feel like 90 at this point, with how sharp DFS is, I feel like this number is going to be super tight compared to what our optimal would be. But let's just turn that down. So we kept the Eckler, Brian Robinson correlation. Any other correlations I'm interested in? We could... I want to check... I'm going to check something. I want to check... Where's our big... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download our big... I'm I'm gonna download our sim results from the 500K to first one we did, and I just want to see how much ownership is going to both Chase and Higgins in the same lineup. So let me add window. This is why I like OBS, by the way, Chan, because I just know how to do this stuff quickly. So here is our sheet, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab Jamar Chase, just stick him on a new sheet for now, and let's find T Higgins here. Bring him over, and then we're gonna make 2 new columns, and we're just gonna do equals if. Ooh, I don't know if this is the right way to do this. Now that I like stop think about it. No, I don't know how to do this on the fly. Now that I think about it. Well, here's the hacky way to do it, I guess. If. Oh wait, I know. Count if. So all we're doing is we're just counting across all these cells, and we're just checking to see if Jamar Chase is in there. So we'll just call this Chase and Higgins. Let's just delete this. And then this formula, all it is just B1 now, right? Because we're going to look for... Actually, it's A2. We're just going to look for Chase and Higgins. Why isn't my guy Jamar Chase showing up? Because I didn't lock the cell references, that's why. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna see is like this, sum across, and now all we're doing here is this is how many of each of Chase and Higgins are in each lineup, right? This lineup here has both of them, so it's a 2. So then what we want to do is I'm going to sort on ROI. We have, I think, 47,000 lineups in here that we generated. This might freeze my computer. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Just all these are ones because it chases in every lineup. So what we're gonna do is I just want to look at the. So I said there are 47,000 unique lineups. So let's look at the top. Let's look at the top 1,000 lineups. Down to here. And then I'm gonna let's just copy this because my pivot tables don't work all the time. Yeah, you can upload projections with without DK ID. So if you don't have the DraftKings ID, then we use the player name and the team abbreviation, and then a little fuzzy matching. I haven't seen any problems with it. The only thing you need to double check is the defenses, because like everybody's different. Some places will do Jacksonville Jaguars, some places will do Jaguars, some places will do Jax DST. And so we need to build a map on our end to kind of map that out for everybody, but. Just for now, when you are uploading lineups, just go ahead and see this stupid data source reference is not valid thing really just annoys me. I wonder if it's the spaces. Cash prop, average cash, and sim. Let's try now. Okay, whatever. So let's just do it this way then. So first we're gonna count. Yeah, sometimes ETR. Well, the other thing too is DraftKings on their end. DraftKings on their end. Will includes the trailing space, and so some sites will clean it up, some sites will not. So then we want to do average of projection. Oops, average if, comma. Criteria would be wrong. Here, comma, here, comma. There. So some sites will clean up that trailing space for the DraftKings has, and other sites won't. So it's very inconsistent in the industry. I don't know why DraftKings includes a trailing space. I don't know if it's like just some bad code on their end that they've never fixed. Let's add ceiling. So ceiling is now, so ceiling used to be just estimated from your provided standard deviation and variance. And now we actually compute the max from all the sims that we do. So it's like for each lineup, we just keep track of what was the max score as of the last sim. And it keeps looping through and then incrementing that if we find a higher max ceiling. So that number should be a little more accurate. And then instead of ceiling, now we want to look at win prob. And then we want to look at ROI. So this should be 1,000, right? Yep. So we're going to do... Oops. Hand building a pivot table is painful. I'll tell you about it. This is top 1,000 equals I don't know why I did that way. There. So we'll just get these percentages out. So hardly any lineups have neither chickens or hate or chase. And then we did projection. So this is just raw own percent ceiling. So immediately you can see what happens to projections when we don't include those guys in the top. Remember, this is the top 1% of lineup or the top 1,000 lineups, but you can see what happens. Let's see. So then I looked at win prob and I looked at average ROI. Okay, so then let's do it again, but for count if. We're gonna go back to here. To here. Oh. Q3. I know my Excel is painful. Gotta lock these in place. Q10, Q12. So there's slightly more. Immediately I can see there's slightly more. There's slightly more lineups that have one in the top 1,000, right? These are all. And then let's just go ahead and do the rest of these really quick. And then average range was projection. And then this was ceiling, which is Q. And T. And ROI on this sheet is X. All right, just short digression there. I just wanted to see what the difference is in the field. How many? So 61% of lineups contain one, 25% contain two of Higgins and Chase, and 12% contain none. And immediately, I mean, you can see the difference here in win probability and ROI. Okay, good. I'm glad, Chan. But I feel like I really kind of I want to see these lineups that have none in the top 1,000 because they have a better ROI than lineups that have better win probability and better ROI than lineups that have both or lineups that have one. So maybe the secret to this slate is finding lineups that don't have Higgins and Chase and have a good projection. Because, I mean, that on this slate, absolutely one way to get unique. I mean, 87% of lineups are going to have at least one of them. 99% of them in the top, 99% of lineups in the top 1,000 that we just simmed had at least one of them. And so maybe if you can find more of these ones, more of these 0 Higgins and Chase, maybe that's the strategy. Because that, you'd be unique and those lineups have a good chance to win. So let's see all 8 of them. So it's an Allen. So it's all Buffalo stacks. Buffalo 5 stack, Buffalo 4 stack. So just Buffalo Jacksonville game stacks. And then we do have this weird Cincy 2 stack. Who are we even stacking? Zach Moss and Joe Burrow? I mean, this would be unique. If Joe Burrow, captain or quarterback, gets home without Higgins or Chase or a receiver, this lineup would win you $500,000 in DraftKings tonight, I feel like. I guess it does leave $300, so probably not $500,000, but you'd be looking pretty good. And it's actually interesting how it does it too, right? Because you have the 2 Jags receivers, the ETN on the Jags. I can see the vision here, you know? I can see it. You're hoping for the shootout of the Bills game, and then Bengals game is like 17-7 or something. And Lawrence throws 3 picks, so the Bills defense gets there. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to say about this. I was trying to make the case, I think, that I want to build lineups that either have both or have none. Doesn't really seem supported by what we just ran in the Sims, obviously. It seems more like you want to play one just by average ROI, or play one or none. Don't play both. Yeah, Burrow rushes for a TD, maybe Burrow sneak. All right, let's go back to the site. Let's go back. This would be a nice thing to have in The Sims if there was a way to do like a correlation rule. For example, if you were able to say like, I want the receivers to have positive correlation until we get to 3, and then once like the 3rd one gets added, then we apply negative. And as I talk myself through that, I actually think that's definitely not even, I wouldn't even say not feasible. That's not the right word. That's actually like a pretty simple thing to do in The Sims. Just think about how the code would work. The tough thing would be measuring it, right? So what are the diminishing returns as you add more receivers to a quarterback? And that's different for everybody. For Jaden Daniels, adding Luke McCaffrey to McLaurin is probably a way more negative correlation than adding T. Higgins and Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow, just because Daniels can get there with the rushing upside. Slide this thing back up. Let's just go ahead and... There we go. Maybe that'll be a research project for me this week, is to look and see for different quarterbacks. I don't even want to do... I'd probably just do like a blanket correlation because it's easier to measure. But just for quarterbacks, what is the diminishing returns as you add more pass catchers to the lineup? This Eric All Jr. I really never heard of Eric All Jr. before. Like, I thought it was Eric Ali. It's Eric All? If he scores a touchdown tonight and is in the optimal lineup, just imagine. Let's see this Buffalo game. I want to see what my ownership was on Cook. I don't want to do... I don't... I mean... I got smoked by James Cook on Thursday night, or the Miami game. But I still am like holding out this little part of me that's just like, are we sure James Cook is that good? I don't know. I don't know with him. I mean, and now everybody wants to play him. This seems like the most obvious fade on the board to me is just 70% James Cook on DraftKings. I mean, you don't have many running back options other than him, but you kind of do because you get the 2 Washington running backs. That's interesting. You know, you figure in either kind of game script, one of them will have it be serviceable. And how many games have we seen from James Cook where he gets like 80, you know, maybe even over 100 combined rushing receiving yards and doesn't get a touchdown because in the red zone, Josh Allen is such a machine. He was good for the first 3 or 4 games last year. Transferred with Cade from Michigan towards ACL against PSU. Okay. Has he played it? Has he seen the field at all for Cincinnati this year? Eric Hall? ETN at 60% owned also in a game where his team has a 20 team total. I don't know. I just don't know about that either. But, I mean, you got to play somebody at running back today. So why not like the guys with like the locked in roles? You know, I do love Ray Davis. I think Ray Davis is like going to be really good as a running back in the pros. I mean, he's got the perfect kind of like compact power for a running back where it just every single time it seems like he's going to be tackled, he just gets a couple more yards. And that's super valuable from an NFL running back. And he caught passes at Kentucky too. And so like I wouldn't know if I'd play him tonight, but I just think there's a little more depth chart worry for James Cook than people think. How many ETN with Cook? Oh, we could try that. All had 4 catches last week. I watched that game. I don't even remember him at all. I was completely zoned out, I guess. Let's see. I know what I can do to make this quick. Let's just do Cook and ETN in these spots. This should, when do we do Chase Higgins? So we copied from here all the way to what? The ROI. There we go. So these are mislabeled now, but just to make sure that this is correct. First lineup had ETN and Cook. Okay. Yeah, so just a ridiculous amount. 99% of lineups have at least one of them, and 52% of the top 1,000 have both of ETN and Cook. And the ceiling is there with them. The projection's a little higher. Win probably is a little higher. ROI is a little higher. So it seems like lineups that have both you want to play. And you can see like in the overall sim results, lineups that don't have any have neither don't sim well. We can look and see what these lineups are. So here you'd have an Allen with Robinson, Moss, and Kincaid, so a double tight end. Yeah, but these lineups all actually sim. I mean, these guys sim decently at least. This lineup here, this Jacksonville stack that leaves 2,900 on the table. I mean, what are the odds of Jacksonville actually just blowing out Buffalo today? But the salary alone indicates, like, no matter who you play in this lineup, and it looks like it has Chase and both running backs. This one looks pretty interesting to play. And you're just hoping that, you know, Trevor Lawrence is like, flashes back to his Clemson days. Yeah, not many lineups here. Like, a lot of these are taking, I mean, not surprising, but a lot of the highest ROI lineups are taking up most of the salary cap. This one looks interesting to me with the Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Chase Brown. I like Chase Brown. Yeah. Yeah, 50%. 50% have both, yeah. Or 29% of the total field has both. 50% of the top 1,000 lineups have both. So the lineups that sim the best, 50% of them have both running backs. So that's way over what the field has. And again, the field has 60% of only one of them, and 47% of only one of them in the top 1,000. So that implies to me that you want to play both of them today, if anything. I've got the sheet covered. Yeah, I was just talking. Go ahead and bring this back. There we go. So I've updated it. So now, okay. So again, this is mislabeled. So this is non-RBs. Yeah, 29% of the field has both, which seems to jive with their, 70% and 60% ownership. So that would be 42%, but then probably it's hard to fit them both. So it seems okay to have them at 29% own and have both of them, 29% of all lineups. What's really interesting is how in the top 1,000, if you can find these really good lineups with them that have both of them, those are the ones to play. So maybe these two would have the rule that I would put in place of, I'm trying to think if I would do that manually in the Sims. But I want none or both, I think is the general rule here. All right, so going back to the site, this time I'll make sure to cover it. There we go. Okay, so what else do we want to do here? Do we want to do any other correlations? Well, there's another easy one we can do, just looking at the running backs, Chase Brown and Zach Moss. Just slap a negative 0.25 on them. I don't want to do it on Ray. I mean, there's no point in doing it on Ray Davis and James Cook, to be honest. There's a case to be made. We should turn down the correlations on Allen and Daniels a little bit on receivers, and Daniels especially. So we can go into Jaden Daniels. So here's our defaults for quarterbacks, and there's a real argument here that the way that Jaden Daniels has played so far, even though Ertz had a decent game last week, there's a case to be made. We should just turn this down to like 0.26 or 0.25, right? So that might be something I look at. Is there anything else in this? This seems okay to me. And the reason why I'm turning down the correlation on Jaden Daniels is, as we've seen, he can get there without a stack. I mean, he's running the ball a lot, even though he's probably going to get hurt doing it. So maybe he'll start throwing the ball more. He does not need anybody in his lineup to be successful, right? Because he can run it in. He can run for 100 yards and get there. So let's add that one. So all we're doing is turning down his receiver and tight end correlation. And anybody else I'm really thinking about kind of turning down correlations on. I feel like some of these Buffalo receivers, you could do the same thing. And actually for Josh Allen, you could probably do the same reduction on receiver and tight end correlation. But also these Buffalo receivers like MVS and I think Matt Collins split time. And Curtis Samuel doesn't see the field every play. He's not the true third receiver right now. He mixes in and out. They're using more like a gadget receiver right now. But I mean, at his ownership, I'm probably gonna be tempted into playing him at 4.8%. But let's give Brian Thomas Jr. a boost just because he's fun to play. And if you notice, when I boosted Brian Thomas Jr., it also boosted Christian Kirk. But we can reset that. We can just turn that back down to his original projection. Correlations are only for the Sims. On showdown slates on DraftKings, we have a and FanDuel, we have a correlations for lineup building based on the captain, but those you can't adjust. Those are just like a model that got fit. Let's boost Curtis Samuel for fun, and I'm gonna leave these receivers. Maybe a good thing to build in would be a way to not like to just flatly adjust the same position, same team receivers. And Shakir, let's just turn him back down. And the standard deviations seem okay. All right. We can run this and kind of. So these would be kind of some of the settings I'd be looking at for today, just in general. It's just the smaller the slate, fewer the combinations, the more you want to kind of tweak these correlations. Now you can absolutely take the time, and a cool thing that we have is the import recent, so you can bring your correlations over. I don't have any created yet, so there's just blank. If you have the time for it on the big classic slates, you could always do this for those and just manually set these correlations for everybody. I think in general, it's probably in the long run, it's kind of diminishing returns to do that on top of the regular correlations. But I mean, it's not a bad idea if you have the time for it. What's the website to get the mobile lineups? It's getlineups.com. I'm gonna load them in about half an hour, and they'll be up for today. Probably just for the 2-game classic. I don't know if I'm gonna do projections for either of the showdowns. They're kind of split up weird. So I might just run the 2-game projections and get lineups, and that's it. Josh, I think it is just applying. I think it's just the way the correlation matrix is being applied right now to where there's two. I'd have to actually look at the math and see what we're doing. Say this is 100% right, but I believe it is either because the correlation matrix is a 1 for the same position, right? By default, correlation, same column, same row is going to be 1. So it could be that, or it could be that when we boost Brian Thomas Jr., it boosts Trevor Lawrence, which in turn boosts receivers. So it's kind of like all these different interaction effects that are happening when we're applying the correlations. Let's go ahead and run this one. I don't see anybody else. I'm really rushing to play. Watch it be like Luke McCaffrey day or something. Luke McCaffrey's gonna do the Juwan Jennings today. And come on. And you know what? I think I have this. Maybe I didn't. Okay, I didn't. Good. Hold on. Is this thing? Maybe I set a weird config. I might have set a weird config. Let's see. I feel like there's a weird correlation thing happening here. That's like that the thing is not liking. What is this? 11,000. Is there any? You guys have any other questions? I'm gonna dig into this correlation thing. I think I know what the problem is. I just need to push up a change for it real quick. Yeah. Oh wait, no. There we go. Yep. Looks like there's an issue with the positional correlation on medium sims. Okay. All right, that's an easy fix. I'll get that fixed here in a second for you guys. We need our producer to cut the last 5 minutes. If you do any player correlations, it's definitely slowed down. It shouldn't be slowed down like at all because it's not used at all in the lineup builder, and it's all it's doing is like every time that we are simming a game to create the player fantasy point generate simulations, I don't think that should be right, because the reason why is we're creating the same correlation matrix every time when we create the player fantasy point simulations, and then all we're doing is just adjusting the number on that specific row and column for that player, for that position or that player. So I feel like maybe it was just a bug. Maybe it's even this one, but I'm gonna fix this issue really quick once I get baseball projections up. But any other questions from people? All right. Well, I'm. Oh, yeah. I just. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we can. Like I said, I don't have anything loaded for this, but it's getlineups.com. And all we're trying to do is, if you just want to sweat, you don't want to think too much about the slate, you can go in here, choose your slate, and then this will not have a clock on it in about 30 minutes when I put these up. When I put up the game sims. So then you just come in here, you click on which players you want to boost or limit. Spits out your ROIs. Here's your suggested lineups. Some nice AI summaries for you to kind of explain why the lineup is good on the given slate. We've done some work around trying to make the AI smarter about understanding context of slates. So understanding, like, here's the game totals, here's the situations for each team, here's the projections, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully those summaries are helpful for you guys. But yeah, you just come here, click a couple buttons, get your lineups. It's like $2 for 20 lineups. Spits them out for you. You can download them as a CSV, or you can just hand build them on DraftKings. I think we are planning on adding like an actual hand builder to this, so you can just start building a lineup, and we can report back to you on that lineup's expected stats. And if we don't have it covered for whatever reason, then we would just run a fresh sim for you, get those stats for you. But it's kind of nice. Should be a nice little single entry builder for people. Should be fun to use, I think. But anyway, I'm going to call it there. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to get baseball projections up in the next 15 minutes or so. And then I'll have baseball up and running. And then we'll get the final projections pushed for NFL. I'm going to fix this correlation issue, and then we'll be good to go for the slate today.